Hi, everybody. This is Akiko Fujimoto, music director and the conductor of the Mid-Texas Symphony. And I am delighted today to be joined by one of our guest artists for the upcoming holiday concert, jazz vocalist Faith Evangeline. Hi, Faith.
Hello there.
It's great to see you here virtually, and we can't wait to have you. So, for everyone tuning in, we are featuring Faith with the Dirty River Jazz Band, which is a traditional New Orleans style jazz band. And a quartet from the organization is going to join us, piano, trumpet, bass, and drum set, along with, of course, our Mid Texas Symphony. And Faith is going to be singing on 3 out of 4 songs. So we're so excited. Faith, I understand that you are from San Antonio. Tell us how you got started in singing jazz.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in San Antonio, but I grew up, especially around this time of year, listening to a lot of old radio shows, and they always had amazing bands on those shows. And so I don't know, at a pretty early age, I just became really attracted to the music and tried to learn as many songs as I could. I think I got a couple of CDs, those old ones that had like maybe 100 to 200 songs on multiple CDs, and I would memorize every single song I could and just collected them like little trinkets. So I just loved it.
That's awesome. And I saw on Instagram that your name is Sewing Treble, and you specialize in vintage clothing as well as old timey music. So, how did your love of all things old start?
It's such a great question. Honestly, I don't know. I just remember from being maybe like 4 or 5, it just seeming really familiar to me. I would go to antique stores with my mom, and I think when I was maybe 6, she got me a pair of little 50s gloves, and I just thought they were the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I've just always been so attracted to it. For some reason, it's always felt really natural to me. Even wearing vintage clothing, for some people it's very costumey, but for me it feels natural. I don't know, and familiar. I love it.
Well, you look great in it. What are you wearing right now?
This isn't too old. This is probably from the 70s, but it's a little vintage cardigan. It's real comfy.
That's awesome. I love antique stores too, and things
Yeah.
that have history, antique furniture, etc. Do you make them as well, or do you sell them, or what do you do?
I do. I like making things from scratch, especially specific designs. But in more recent years, I've focused more on just restoring vintage because after, obviously, second law, thermodynamics, things deteriorate. But there's a lot of vintage out there that just needs a little bit of love to get a second chance. We all need a second chance in the world. So sometimes it's as simple as rehemming something. Or like last night, I was working on a dress that has a bleach stain, so I'm refolding all the material so that the bleach stain is hidden. It's really fun because it's a lot of problem solving and but bringing things back to life is so special. And I think there's something about vintage. There's the quality of the material and just like the actual hands that built the garments, but also the history of it. I don't know. I wonder sometimes if objects contain some kind of energy. I don't know, but it feels, it you can feel the passage of time in them, and it's just I don't know. It makes it very dynamic. So I like it.
I totally agree, and I love what you said about the special energy, the old things told, and I think
Yeah.
that falls right into our territory because we play a lot of new as well as old music.
Hmm.
And the 3 songs that you'll be singing are, they were originally written in the 19th century, got popular in the 20th century by certain popular singers, but they're all classics, and they've stood the test of time, and they are beloved, part of the Christmas song canon. So tell us a little bit about how you realized that you had this deep, beautiful, smoky voice that's perfect for jazz. How did you discover that, and when did you start singing with the Dirty River Jazz Band?
I started singing with the Dirty River Jazz Band probably about 3 years ago. But prior to that, since I was little, I think sometimes our voices naturally adjust to what we listen to. You know how like I mean, basically even wherever you live, of course, your voice and your tone adjusts to the tone and structure of your geographical location. I think it's the same with music. And so because I grew up listening to a ton of Vera Lynn, and she had a smokier voice. um, I think since I was little, I was just trying to sort of maybe emulate not exactly her sound, but that general texture. And in those eras, I think the women typically sang with much more of a mixed tone than people do now. Um, and so there's just
Mm.
certain textural things that I've always listened to since I was little and that I really love. And it's, it's a constant journey, and I don't know if it's better or worse. There are always so many amazing styles, but I think that's the way that my personal voice has developed, just listening to those ladies in that particular texture. And I've always liked it too. I've always preferred a little bit more like undertone than
I love that. Yeah, you're the first singer that, we all think we're kind of born with our natural tessitura and like range, how opera singers are kind of divided by their fa, like where their voice falls in, and how high or low, and but they're also divided by the timbre of their voice, not just pitch. And what you're
yeah.
addressing is that timbre, and you're the first person that told me that you've sort of you grew into a certain timbre and range, vocal range that you loved listening to. Now you mentioned a name that I didn't quite catch earlier. That was, somebody that you listen to a lot. Can you say her name again? And also, can you tell us maybe a couple more singers
Yeah.
that you listen to a lot and emulate, or that were your inspirations?
Yeah, definitely. I think the name that I mentioned was Vera Lynn. She was an English singer during like the wartime period, so World War II. Um,
Hmm.
and and I don't know if people remember her very much over here, but I mean, even to this day over in the UK, she's very well known. And I grew up listening to her. She was one of those CDs that I had. I think I had 100 of her songs, and I learned every single one. And I just loved her tone. And I think, especially at an early age, I do think we learn our tone. And of course, there's a natural physical something that goes into it. I think probably, though, if I had listened to different music, I would sing in a higher range than I actually like to. And I've been over the years trying to train my voice to go a little lower because I just like that better. But it depends. But yeah, so Vera Lynn, a wonderful artist. I also really love, of course, Peggy Lee, Julie London, Sarah Vaughan. I've been listening to a lot of Dinah Washington lately, and I'm like, man,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah,
Hmm. That's fantastic. I love all those singers.
me
And on
too.
one of the clips on your Instagram account, I also felt like I heard a little Billie Holiday.
Ooh,
Of,
I'll
of
take
course
it.
it's you, but it's got that smokiness to it, and I just love it. So I can't wait to perform these, holiday classics with you and the band. Um, Now, where do you perform normally? I understand that you perform with the Dirty River Jazz Band a lot, but you also have your
Mhm.
own group or you perform by yourself. Tell us where in Central Texas people can catch you these days.
Yeah, so I'm consistently at Bohannon's, right across the street from the Majestic Theater, downtown San Antonio. Every Saturday we play from 7 to 10:30, and that's usually with the Dirty River Jazz Band. So that's one of my favorite spots. I also play brunch at the Intercontinental Hotel. They've got a beautiful restaurant in there, and they just put up their tree, so it's looking gorgeous. That's from 11 to 2 every Saturday and Sunday, so that's fun. And everywhere else, it's contract work, so I'm all over the place. But I always post my schedule on my social media, so you can catch wherever I'm flying.
That's fantastic. Now, your handle is at Sewing Treble. That's Treble, I think. So people can
Mhm.
go look for you at those places. Now, before we let you go, let's talk a little bit about the three songs you will be singing. So we're starting with Jingle Bells. And for the audience members, these were all orchestrated um, by Justice McKenzie. And he's a fantastic orchestrator and arranger, and he arranged things for the Dirty River Jazz Band before, so he did it for our concert as well. We're very happy about that. So Jingle Bells and Cool Yule and Up on the Housetop. Um, is there anything you can tell us about these songs? I mean, obviously Jingle Bells is super well known, but what do you like about these arrangements?
I'm excited about these particular arrangements because, all these Christmas songs have been played, well, except for maybe Cool Yule. I feel like Cool Yule is a pretty fun, it's not totally a deep cut, but it's a little bit of a deep cut, which I love. So, but so many of these songs have been played so many times. I love the specific arrangements because you get just a different flavor of something. It's the song but maybe a slightly different arrangement makes it more fun. Up on the housetop, we've got some calypso vibes. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you on this concert, and thank you for giving us your time during a holiday season, which I'm sure is super crazy for you and the band.
It is.
So happy holiday singing and gigs to all of you guys. Yeah, and we'll see you very soon on Sunday, December 14th. Thank you, Faith
Woo.
Evangeline.
Thank you.
Bye bye. So that was Faith Evangeline, the jazz vocalist that'll be singing with the Dirty River Jazz Band. Now, a little bit about the Dirty River Jazz Band. They're based out of San Antonio, but they originally started when they met as students at Texas Lutheran University, where this concert is going to be on the 14th. So it's a great homecoming for the band. They are so successful. They perform all over Central Texas and beyond. Some of the members are actually touring in Chicago right now. So they're very successful, and it all started at TLU in Seguin. So we're very happy to feature them and Faith Evangeline. They'll be singing one song without Faith, and that's the Sugar Plum Rag. It's a rag featuring their pianist, and this was inspired by a take on the Sugar Plum Fairy Dance from the Nutcracker by Tchaikovsky by John Sheridan, who was a pianist in the Jim Cullum Band, which is a very well-known, beloved jazz band in San Antonio, known very well through the Riverwalk Jazz, the radio program. So they were mentors to the Dirty River Jazz Band members when they started at TLU and thereafter. So we're happy to feature one of Mr. Sheridan's beloved takes on the Nutcracker. So let's talk a little bit about the rest of the concert. Because we have a New Orleans theme, thanks to the Dirty River Jazz Band to this concert, I thought I would start the concert with an overture of French Christmas carols. This is by French-Canadian Quebecois composer named Francois Morel. And it was written in the 60s and then revised in 1978 to open a concert at the Notre Dame in Montreal that the Montreal Symphony played with none other than tenor Luciano Pavarotti. So this overture is called Paraphrase sur des airs de Noël, or Paraphrase of Christmas Songs by Francois Morel. And it's really a medley of French Christmas carols, but most of them you would recognize because they're universally famous Christmas carols. Couple of them, like He's Born, the Divine Christ Child, might be recognizable to Francophiles among you, but otherwise you would recognize all of these Christmas carols, most of them, and if not, I think you would love getting to meet them for the first time. This is about an 8-minute overture, very beautiful, features everybody in the orchestra, but especially our brass section. Now, the second piece on the program is by Tchaikovsky. And I mentioned earlier that in the second half, we are going to play a little jazzy take on Tchaikovsky with the Dirty River Jazz Band, the Sugar Plum Rag. But before we do that, we're going to play our own Tchaikovsky. And we're going to do the Dance of the Tumblers from his Snow Maiden. The Snow Maiden was a play by Alexander Ostrovsky in 1873, and Tchaikovsky was asked to provide music, incidental music for this play for 3 Moscow theaters that were putting it on. And this dance is also sometimes called Dance of the Buffoons or Dance of Jesters. And it's very lively, virtuosic, lots of percussion, including tambourines, fast, very fast and acrobatic. Now, if you feel like you've heard of this piece before, we often play Rimsky-Korsakov's version of Dance of the Tumblers. He also wrote actually an opera based on the Snow Maiden story. And so his opera also has the Tumblers dance, just like Tchaikovsky's incidental music to the play. Either way, the story goes that the Snow Maiden, falls in love when she melts like the snow. So it's like a happy ending after the snow melts, unlike the snowman story. So this is going to be a great showcase of our violin section as well as our woodwind section and of course percussion. So very exciting. Now there's another holiday, of course, during the Christmas season, that's Hanukkah. And this year Hanukkah happens to begin at sundown on the day of our holiday concert, Sunday the 14th. So right around maybe intermission, we're going to be starting Hanukkah. And to commemorate that, we're going to play a Hanukkah suite by Jeff Tyzik. And it includes the most famous Hanukkah songs, My Dreidel and Hanukkah, Oh Hanukkah, Who Can Retell, Al Hanisim, and Rock of Ages. So that should be a lot of fun. Now we're going to end the first half of the concert with our own jazz Christmas piece, and that is A Charlie Brown Christmas. This was, of course, composed by Vince Guaraldi and his trio for the soundtrack to the famous 1965 TV special, A Charlie Brown Christmas. Now, I didn't realize until I started looking into this piece that it began as music for an unaired Peanuts documentary about Peanuts, the cartoon, as well as the creator, Charles Schulz. And it was in 1964, it was supposed to be, and Vince Guaraldi wrote some of this music already for that, but the documentary never came to be. And so he compiled it into an album called Jazz Impressions of a Boy Named Charlie Brown. And next year, when Coca-Cola Company commissioned the Christmas TV special, Guaraldi went back to the project and scored the soundtrack and used some of the same music, like the famous Linus and Lucy. And he also wrote some new music because it's Christmas, like Skating and Christmas Time is Here. So all these famous tunes we featured and played by your Mid-Texas Symphony. Now, this album of the Charlie Brown Christmas wound up being the second best-selling jazz album after Miles Davis's Kind of Blue. So it's a very important piece of jazz history as well as American, holiday tradition. So I hope you'll enjoy our rendition of it. And of course, after the intermission, we will introduce the Dirty River Jazz Band and Faith Evangeline. We will, of course, be joined later by the children's chorus. This time they are from the New Braunfels ISD, prepared by Ms. Lauren Bain, as well as a score of other teachers from New Braunfels ISD. And they come together for this tradition that the Mid-Texas Symphony has. And we're going to sing 2 songs with the symphony. And of course, we will invite all of you to do a holiday sing-along as usual. And Santa Claus might show up also. So we look forward to seeing you on Sunday, December 14th at 4 o'clock at Jackson Auditorium.